Ever wonder what kind of realities we'll be diving into next year? Well, we got just the thing for you. Here is our list of the top 15 upcoming VR games for 2020. The Walking Dead: Saints and Sinners. The Walking Dead series is rife with VR ideas. Unlike The Walking Dead Onslaught, which will release later this year, this one from Skydance Interactive doesn't have anything to do with the popular AMC series. Instead, it takes inspiration from the comic books to create an all-new experience. Saints and Sinner, like most zombie games, is also a shooter, but it's set in an open-world environment. Within this vast world, it will have over 15 hours of gameplay, which is ambitious considering the constraints of the platform. Basing off of what their developers say, it feels like there is a lot of emergent gameplay to prepare for.
The game is truly like your oyster. You can attract walkers and have the humans fight the walkers. Every time you go out into the world is a little different, and so there's a lot of programmatic elements. We feel that this allows you to truly always be on edge and not know if you're going to make it out, which is an important factor with The Walking Dead.
It's set to release soon on January 23rd.
More than a dozen people are dead after a missile attack involving Stark Industries.
Marvel's Iron Man VR.
Friday, you get a feeling we're not alone?
Tony Stark's legacy continues to live on, at least out of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, that is. Taking on the adventures of the high-flying Avenger is a feat on the platform, considering the VR's occasionally dizzying patterns. But seeing the feedback from the trailers, and especially from gamers who experienced the demo, this Iron Man VR is a promising title.
Put on that helmet and the HUD boots up, they feel like Iron Man.
I want them to feel like they're in control of the most power that they've ever felt in their lives.
Put on the famous Iron Man suit and fly through the skies in battles with drones and a ghost from Tony's past.
And you are?
A ghost from your past.
The voice and face behind the iconic suit may be unfamiliar to us compared to RDJ's famous portrayal, but it seems like he still has the biting wit that we've come to love.
Got a drone around on your left is talking to you. There we go. Nice.
Marvel's Iron Man VR may not be a full-on Iron Man title. It's the closest we'll have yet, and it's coming out on February 28th. Paper Beast. The great thing about virtual reality games is that it doesn't always have to be reality. Paper Beast, which is the latest title from creator of 90s titles like Another World and Heart of Darkness, Eric Shahi, makes use of that to create a game that's about origami wildlife as much as it is about math and data. For Shahi, he created an ecosystem that thrives on its own, deriving life from the information and the many anomalies that exist with it. It's definitely experimental, and the trailer suggests that it has that intersection of weird and immersive that makes it perfect for the platform. Clearly, a lot of poetry was involved in creating this would-be masterpiece, and hopefully it'll all be clear when it releases early next year. Solaris Offworld Combat VR. First Contact Entertainment already impressed us with 2018's Firewall Zero Hour. Next year, they're hoping to do it all over again with this brand new multiplayer shooter. Hoping to live up to games like Quake, Solaris will feature a fast-paced 4 against 4 gameplay where you crash into weapons and get ready to shoot it all out. Solaris will also have dedicated servers from day one, which is something that bothered a lot of players of the studio's previous title. There really isn't much in the way of gameplay so far, but their videos have done enough to stoke excitement for the upcoming game. It's coming out on the Oculus Quest, Rift, and PSVR in 2020.
There is no price I wouldn't pay to protect my home.
The Wizards' Dark Times. Our next game may had its roots in a magic-based wave shooter called The Wizards, but their standalone expansion is a whole lot more different than you'd expect. Working on feedback from their original game, Carbon Studios takes players to a completely new era, packed with new enemies and allies and sprinkled with improvements to UI and gestures.
Now that that is out of the way,
Tread carefully, friend.
This means that casting refreshed arsenal of cool spells will be a breeze against the many enemies you'll face. Some might even say that it's not the most tactically deep VR game in terms of combat. With this expansion though, Carbon Studios shows us just how much they care about putting out a good game. It's set to release sometime in 2020.
Don't say a word. They can't know you're online. I promise I'll explain everything when I get back. I'm going to need your help.
Lone Echo 2. Lone Echo was one of the most impressive titles in the early VR stages, and it's definitely one that deserves a spankin' new sequel. Still in the outer reaches of space, Lone Echo 2 finds us re-entering the rings of Saturn in a journey that will take us past the wishy-washy boundaries of time. Set 400 years into the future of the first game, not a lot will be familiar to you, but it's going to be fascinating to uncover what's happened since then.
In the area, you can use your cutter to gain access. Ah, clever. That should keep the tick occupied.
One of the strongest features of the first game was their beautiful visuals. That kind of quality is still clearly true in this upcoming sequel. It's set to release on the Oculus Rift early next year. The Room VR. The Room has been doling out immersive puzzle solving for years. Now they're finally dipping their toes into the world of VR, and it's an exciting prospect for fans of the series as well as for puzzle fans on the platform. Setting up shop in almost all available platforms, from the Rift, Quest, and PSVR to the HTC Vive, Valve Index, and Windows Mixed Reality, Fireproof Games is dedicated to bringing the experience to everyone. Travel to 1908 London and be prepared to solve the mysteries inside the British Museum. Leave no stone unturned in your quest for clues that's going to be more tactile than ever before. It's coming out early next year. Boiling Steel. Another entry in the list of upcoming sci-fi shooters, Boiling Steel takes us to a world of robots versus robots. Marketing itself as a VR shooter with an intriguing storyline, players get sent to a dog-eat-dog world 1,000 light years away from home. It's currently in its alpha stage, and they've invited everyone to take a look at their progress so far. For now, it's still pretty gritty. There's a lot of recycled assets and nothing much to distinguish it from all the other shooters. Here's to hoping things start looking up in the meantime as it gets a release window in the second quarter of 2020.
You are Espire 1 VR Operative.
Espire 1 VR Operative. Tripwire Interactive is also showing their VR project, and it's turning out like a video game from the future. Like Dishonored meets Warframe, enjoy a futuristic stealth experience where you control drone operators from the future. It's a stealth VR game, and its features already distinguishes it from most of the VR games today. For one, you'll get to roam freely around their environments, which makes it easier to perform stealth attacks and opens up a variety of killing methods. Espire also takes stealth to a new level with a built-in voice control that means they hear you too. All that, plus the promise of smart enemy AI, Espire 1 is surely one to watch out, and it's set to come out on June 30th next year. Firmament. Kickstarter may be getting a new feather on its cap with this new title coming from the makers of Myst and Riven. Reaching their goal of $1.3 million, Sign Worlds is about to wow us with their anticipated narrative adventure. Created using the Unreal Engine 4, we know its steampunk locations and lore are gonna look jaw-dropping, especially on the VR. We only have a teaser trailer so far, however, their constant updates let us know that it's gonna be a world navigated through an evolving gesture-based communication with a trusty adjunct sidekick. With a music team led by Emmy-winning Russell Brower as the cherry on top of their already delicious-looking title, Firmament is looking pretty good indeed, and it's coming out on the Rift, the Vive, the Index, and the PSVR on July 2020. Robocats. You can tell from their title that it's not really something that takes itself too seriously. It's pretty straightforward. You're a robot cat, and you pass the time by punching blocks and dodging walls. The main element here is fun, and you can do that by sharing the virtual world with a bunch of other bored friends. Judging from their videos, watching other people play is just as fun as the game itself. It's simple, casual VR fun, and it's coming out on the Valve Index, the Vive, and the Windows Mixed Reality on November 2nd next year. Boneworks. VR is an experiment in itself, and with this coming action title, Stress Level 0 is testing the limits of physics in virtual reality. It's an action-packed title as you pick up various weapons and tools from the game's environment and use them against enemies in creative ways. From guns to crowbars and swords, and even potted plants. There's a lot in Boneworks' arsenal, and using them looks satisfyingly fluid and realistic. Headbutt drones, pierce them, and fling them around as you will. To spice up the excitement, Boneworks is set in a world that feels like a Half-Life revival. It just might be the next level in VR development, and hopefully we'll hear more from it through the year as it's coming out in the fourth quarter of 2020. After the Fall. Longtime VR fans might just be getting wishes with this new title from the makers of Arizona Sunshine. What with the success of their previous hit, a lot of people are already expecting After the Fall to be just as awesome. Still a first-person action shooter, After the Fall explores a fight for survival in a hostile, ice-covered apocalypse set in 80s Los Angeles. The gameplay looks like it's gonna take a wild turn, and the infected zombies have gotten bigger too. Following these features, After the Fall will also have multiplayer elements that will definitely make the shooting even more interesting. It's coming out sometime in 2020. Medal of Honor Above and Beyond. Okay, so the FPS VR fatigue might be settling in by now, but trust me, if there's one FPS title that you want to see, it's this. Not only is this a long-awaited new entry to the Medal of Honor series, it's also gonna come from the same people who brought us Titanfall and Apex Legends. It's two legends coming into one, and they definitely went above and beyond. Yes, Medal of Honor as a VR game is about action on the front lines of World War II, but it's also about immersion and interactivity. That means getting to interact with various objects and also not having a single breathing moment on the battlefield. It's set to release sometime in 2020. Lo-fi. From the realism of war to a dystopian cyberpunk future, cyberpunk has been on the rise these days, and lo-fi is cashing in. Out of all the titles based on the genre, lo-fi definitely nails the Blade Runner aesthetics. From dark towering edifices to the streaks of consumerist neon and high-flying cars. It's a spiritual successor to Iris VR's own Technolust. But instead of being a linear experience, lo-fi expands on the premise into a massive, interactive open world. As part of law enforcement, you'll get to call the shots on what to do next, whether it's crime investigation or actual criminal activity. The cyberpunk competition is tough these days, but this is definitely a dream come true for Blade Runner fans. It's set to release on PC VRs in 2020.